What's up, boys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be ranking UFC champions. That's it, ranking UFC champions. We're going to be only doing the men's division. And real quick, you could skip ahead if you don't want to hear me yet, but I know I haven't posted in like 4 weeks, 5 weeks. Really busy. We're going to get back to posting very consistently. I know the lighting's probably shit too. I need a new light. My light broke. I was busy with finals. There's just a bunch of bullshit going on, but we're back. We're back. And yeah, let's just jump right into it. Subscribe for more. I post daily on my TikTok, so go over my TikTok, click the follow button over there. Same name is on here. Almost 20,000 followers over there, so click the follow button. I know the lighting's probably shit. I know. Let's just deal with it, all right? Let's jump right into the video. We're going to be ranking UFC champions. Let's start off with Islam Makhachev. Yeah, I think it's very clear that Islam's got... Oh, whoa. Yeah, Islam's going to the S tier. Islam is definitely going to the S tier. I think he's clearly the best fighter in the world. And the S tier is going to be for guys that pretty much have no flaws in their game. You look at Islam, pretty much no flaws. The man could do everything. I don't know how the fuck you beat him. I really don't know how you beat Islam. The dude has some of the most dominant grappling we've ever seen in the UFC, paired alongside some of the best striking defense statistically we've ever seen in the UFC. He's kind of just impossible to beat. I wouldn't be all too surprised if he finishes his career, as a top 3 UFC fighter of all time. He could literally do everything. His striking is still underrated. He has 0 flaws. Striking, really good. Striking, defense, offense, really good. Grappling, wrestling, transitions, everything. He literally has everything. He is clear and away the best fighter in the world, and he obviously deserves to go in S tier. Of course, fighting Dustin Poirier at UFC 302 in a few weeks' time, I think he does get that done. I mean, he should. I think everybody should be picking Islam Makhachev to win that fight, obviously. And after that title defense, maybe he fights an Arman Tsarukyan. Maybe he fights Arman and then goes up to fight Leon. I wouldn't be too surprised if he does that, and I probably would pick him to beat Arman Tsarukyan and Leon Edwards. I don't know who beats this man. I really don't know. Next up, let's move on to the GOAT, Jon Jones. I know you guys are going to get mad. But it is what it is. It is what it is. We're going to go B tier. We're going to go B tier for Jon Jones. We have to make one thing clear. The dude's not in his prime anymore. The dude is not in his prime anymore. I've watched every single fight Jon Jones has had in the UFC multiple times. It's very clear that he's not in his prime. Now, if this was the guy fighting, Shogun, not even Shogun. He wasn't even in his prime when he was fighting Shogun. When he was fighting Gustafsson, DC, yeah. Of course, the dude would be an S tier, but he's a heavyweight now. He isn't a natural heavyweight. When you look at a guy like Tom Aspinall, who he should be fighting, the dude's faster, stronger, more power. I see Jon Jones struggling against those, big, well-rounded heavyweights. I mean, I don't see him struggling. I see Tom Aspinall, the only guy beating Jon Jones, but I don't think he's in that A tier anymore. I'm sorry. I know you guys are going to get mad, but the boxing really isn't there anymore. He has no power in the heavyweight division. Who's going to respect this dude's striking? Who's going to respect his striking? I know his grappling and his wrestling is still really, really good. You know what? I'll do it. Jon Jones is A tier. Jon Jones is A tier. I mean, it's really only his boxing and his power that's really bad. I know he's pretty slow, but he still is really, really good. I don't think he deserves to be in the B tier like some other guys. So I will put him A tier. However, I think he's fringe B tier. I think he's fringe B tier. I worry for him against a guy like Tom Aspinall just because of the speed, the size, the power. I think he really struggles, and I think he does lose to Tom Aspinall. Next up, Leon Edwards. You know what? Fuck it. I know I'm back and forth because this guy's A tier. Leon Edwards is a better fighter than Jon Jones right now. Striking, really, really good. Picks his shots really, really well. His defensive grappling and wrestling has improved a ton throughout his career, and it's some of the best in the UFC right now. His performance against Colby was really solid, even though Colby sucks. He's washed. He's old. He's trash. But Leon is really good, man. He's really good. I think he probably beats Bilal Muhammad. And then I think he probably beats Shavkat Rakhmonov. I know a lot of people are not going to like that, but Leon is really good, man. He doesn't really have many flaws in his game. I know his submission game is not amazing, but it's still there. I know it's not amazing. That's probably the biggest flaw in his game, but he picks his shots really well. He's a really good striker. His wrestling is solid. His, wrestling and grappling defense, as I said, is really solid. And I think he is a step above Jon Jones right now. I'm going to be completely honest. I know people are going to get mad, but I'm looking at this skill for skill right now. Remove Jon Jones's name, remove Leon Edwards' name. I think Leon is the better fighter. Next up, let's go to Sean O'Malley. We're going to put him in B tier. We're going to put him in B tier. Now, I don't think he's on the same level as Jon Jones. I know they're in the same tier, but Jon is fringe A tier. Sean O'Malley is probably on the lower side of B tier. So you have to take that into account. But Sean O'Malley is really good, man. Sean O'Malley is really, really good. I used to hate on this dude a lot. I thought Aljamain Sterling would get it done quite comfortably. Of course, he didn't get it done quite comfortably. He got, dominated by Sean O'Malley, to say the least. But you can make a real argument that this dude is the best striker in the UFC. You really, really can. He is one of the best strikers, if not the best striker in the UFC. His timing, power, shot selection is really, really good. In and out movement, perfect. Footwork, so good. I might go as far as saying he is the best striker in the UFC. And he proved against Aljamain Sterling that he can defensively grapple. He can. His movement's really good. I think that, goes alongside his defensive grappling because his movement is so good and it allows him to not be backed up against the cage. But he was able to hold off Aljamain Sterling, and I think there's a real chance that he does beat Merab Dvalishvili. I think that fight is dead even. I think it's pretty similar to Aljamain Sterling. I think Merab gives him a harder test, but stylistically, I think he is, that fight is pretty similar to that Aljamain Sterling fight. Does Merab get him to the ground? Does he hold him for 5 rounds? Does he drain his energy? Excuse me. Or does Sean O'Malley keep it on the feet and then ultimately knock out Merab? I think it's really that simple, but it's so hard to predict. If I had to pick one right now, I'm probably going to go with Sean O'Malley, just because I think he'll be able to hold off Merab and then find that shot. But Merab is so physically dominant, it's so hard to pick that. So I'm going to go Sean O'Malley in B tier, even though I don't think he is as good as Jon Jones. Next up, let's go with Ilia Topuria, S tier. S tier for Ilia. And I know people are going to say he's unproven, he's this, he's that. I've been saying that this dude is so good for so long. Ilia Topuria is so damn good. I know I said Islam is, far and away the best fighter in the world. I take that statement back. Ilia Topuria has a good argument to be the best in the world. Boxing, I think, is best in the UFC. Fundamentals and all of that. His boxing fundamentals are so good. His ability to go from the body to the head, so good, so clean, tight with his boxing. Power, some of the best we've ever seen in the UFC. Wrestling is perfect. I wouldn't say perfect. Wrestling is really good. Grappling, really good. Transitions on the ground, really good. You look back at this guy before the UFC, it's literally submission after submission after submission. I don't really see any flaws in his game. I could see the argument saying that he's heavy on that lead leg. Sure. He's open to, body shots at excuse me, I'm kind of sick. And he could be susceptible to, the low kicks from a guy like Sean O'Malley. But I feel like that's fine, though. I feel like that's fine. He can take those shots. He did against Volk, and then he just eventually backs up his opponents against the cage and then just finds a knockout punch. He's so good. I think Ilia is so good. Head movement is solid. And I know people say his chin is bad. That's just the biggest misconception in the sport. I don't know how you could say his chin is bad when... Sure, he fought Jai Herbert, almost got finished, but that was on short notice, up a weight class. And you look at that head kick, 95% of UFC fighters are getting knocked out cold by that. 95%. That is the most flush head kick you could see. But Ilia Topuria takes it. Yeah, he gets knocked down, eats it, is able to recover and then ultimately get a slam and a takedown. I think his chin is criminally underrated. I think his ability to recover is criminally underrated. I think Ilia Topuria is clearly in that S tier. Let's go to Dricus du Plessis. I'm sorry, Dricus. You got to go D tier. You got to go D tier. I just don't think he's very good, man. I don't think he's very good. You look at his fights with, and I know he improved since then, but you look at his fights against Derek Brunson, Darren Till, and those are Derek Brunson and Darren Till, and he doesn't look that good. He doesn't look that good. I know his wrestling and his grappling is solid. It's solid, but I don't feel like his striking is all that good. I think he's pretty sloppy on the feet. His boxing isn't great. His striking and defense isn't great. And I do think he loses to a guy like Israel Adesanya. I think he does lose to Israel Adesanya. Overall, I think there's a lot of holes in his game. I'm surprised he is the champion. I picked Robert Whittaker to run through him, and then I think on another day, Robert Whittaker does get that done, but I think it's his awkwardness. It's his awkwardness that, got him to this point, not his skill set. And I'm kind of ranking this tier list on pure skill set right now. And I just don't think Dricus du Plessis, is all that good. I think in terms of the middleweight challengers, I think stylistically, a guy like Jared Cannonier gives him the most problems. A guy with a very good gas tank, defensive grappling and wrestling is really good. He's powerful and slick on the feet. I think Jared Cannonier is the most underrated middleweight. And stylistically, I think he gives Dricus du Plessis a lot of problems. Next up, Alexandre Pantoja. I'm going to put him in C tier, fringe B tier. C tier, fringe B tier. I know you could make the argument that he's on that same level as Sean O'Malley, but I feel like he struggles. I feel like he lost against Steve Erceg. I thought confidently he lost against Steve Erceg, and I feel like a guy, stylistically, once again, he loses to a guy like Manel Kape. I think he loses to a guy like Manel Kape, who his defensive grappling and wrestling is really good. His ability to, hold guys off and push them off, if that makes sense. His ability to, I don't even know how to phrase this, but I feel like his ability to just keep Pantoja off of him is what's going to be really good in this fight. And I think his danger in the pocket, he's really good in the pocket, gives Pantoja a lot of problems, because you look at Pantoja's striking on the feet, it literally reminds me of Juliana Pena. He gets saved by his chin. His chin is really, really good, and his toughness is top tier, but I think he loses against Manel Kape. I think he lost against Steve Erceg. His ability to not really finish fights at the championship level is not the best. I feel like he struggled against Steve Erceg, struggled against Pantoja, and I know I don't want to discredit him a lot, but there's times where I feel like he's just laying and praying. So I see glaring problems on the feet, and I see an ability, to not really finish his opponents. So I have to put him in C tier. And wrapping up the list, I have Alex Pereira. I gotta put Alex A tier, fringe B. I know, similarly to Jon Jones, where his wrestling and grappling is really good, Alex's striking, I don't know how to explain this, and I know this is probably a very all over the place video, but Jon Jones's wrestling and grappling is really good, but the striking lacks. Alex Pereira's striking is there, but his wrestling lacks. But the reason I have Alex Pereira just a smidge above Jon Jones is because he has the ability to finish the fight, man. He has an ability to finish this fight, or any fights he's in. His defensive grappling and wrestling has improved a ton, and I feel like that is so important with UFC fighters nowadays. You look at the Leon Edwardses, you look at the Sean O'Malleys. Defensive grappling is so important. But Alex Pereira's ability to finish the fight is why I have him in A tier. And I know you could say, well, Leon's ability to not finish the fight is, not that great. He goes to decision a lot. But Leon is a step ahead in terms of skill, I think, in terms of, comparing him to Alex Pereira, Jon Jones. That's why I have Leon there. But for Alex Pereira, his ability to finish the fight is why he goes in A tier. You could argue he's the best striker in the UFC. You really can. That left hook is beautiful. Now, I do think he loses against Magomed Ankalaev, but he's still so good. Alex Pereira is still so good. I think a guy like Jon Jones is pretty overrated. That's why I have him in B tier. I feel like Alex's, once again, ability to defend himself on the ground, his defensive grappling is really good. His ability to, fight at his own pace is good. I know he's not as good on the back foot, moving foot. You know what? Fuck it. I know this video is literally all over the place, but he does have flaws in the feet. He does have flaws in the feet. Moving backwards, not the best. I feel like straight punches, you saw that against Israel Adesanya, he struggles against. So even though his striking is really good, I see holes in his game. And nobody's really tested him that much on the ground. I know Jan Blachowicz did, but I feel like Magomed Ankalaev is going to bring him to a new level. He really is. I think Leon Edwards is good in A tier, and Alex is good in B tier. Let's run through this one more time, see if I want to make any changes. And of course, this video, you can mix and match any way you want. Of course, these dudes are the best of the best. They really are. You could put it in any order you want. If you want to put Jon Jones in A tier, that's fine. He's that good. So to run through it once again, I have Islam Makhachev and Ilia Topuria in the S tier. I think definitely those are my only S tier fighters. I'm very confident of that. A tier, Leon Edwards, I think that's fair. B tier, we have Jon Jones and Alex Pereira, who I think are fringe A tier. And then we also have Sean O'Malley in that B tier. C tier, we have Alexandre Pantoja. D tier, we have Dricus du Plessis. I think this is overall pretty solid. You can make a lot of arguments for a lot of guys going in a lot of different places, but I think it's solid for now. I might want to change it in a week, 2 weeks time, but for now, I think it's pretty solid. Yeah, I like it how it is. I like it how it is. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Subscribe for more videos. Let me know what you think of the video. Other ideas of, videos, put it in the comments. Thank you for watching. Peace out.